So I'm Nick Donofrio,
I'm Paul Sieger.
and we're going to review Harold and Kumar: Escape from Guantanamo Bay. So, Paul, what was your initial impression of the movie?
My initial impression was, well, I went in there kind of not hoping, but expecting to be disappointed because most sequels are terrible. But I actually walked out of the movie theater and I was debating whether or not it was better than the first one because it was pretty close.
Yeah, that's how I came in too, because I had a friend who told me it was going to suck, and I was just so worried that this series was going to go downhill. But then when I left, I was convinced actually that the second movie is better than the first one.
Yeah, I think as far as sequels go, this was a really good sequel, and I was really surprised because sequels usually don't cut it, and thought this was a perfect sequel.
Yeah, that's the reason I think it's a better movie than the first one actually is because it just went so much farther than the first one. Like the first one also had these times when there were awkward spaces in between where nothing was being done. In the second one, just there was always action, always something to laugh at.
Yeah. In this one, they had somebody actually chasing them the whole time. And they're actually on the run the whole time as opposed to just sort of slowly making their way to White Castle in the first one. So I thought that made it a bit more interesting and more tense throughout it. More energetic.
I kind of found the movie actually a little predictable, like at times. Like, it was just like when they were when the two redneck brother and sister were talking, and they said, "Oh, we just keep our inbred Cyclops son down in the basement when we have guests over." You knew they were going to have an inbred Cyclops son.
Especially when they went down into the basement. It's pretty predictable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think the original movie definitely didn't have that predictability because you hadn't seen really much like that before.
Yeah, it's true. Now that we know the characters and we know the style of the writers and, you know, the plot summaries.
Which movie did you like Neil Patrick Harris in more?
I thought the first one, it was a nice surprise to have him in there because it was completely random, and it was like, you know, why, you know, it was Doogie Howser, like how they portrayed him. It was just really funny how he popped into the first one, but as far as like how funny it was, I would pick the second one over the first by far.
Yeah, he was just as it says on Wikipedia, he's playing an extreme like version of himself.
But yeah, I was glad that this one happened on a larger scale because I think that all sequels should do that. I mean, you know, you expand it to a much bigger story to where they're being chased by the government, and just they go to different locations. They're in Guantanamo Bay, they're in Florida, in the South, in Texas, you know. So I liked it that it was more on a larger scale.
Yeah, they also visited a very different region of the country than before. I mean, before they stayed in like New York, New Jersey, that area. But in this one, it was all about the South. And the thing about the South is there's a lot of racial tensions going on there. And the movie reflected this. It had a lot of racial jokes. What did you think of those?
I thought, I think that's sort of almost what Harold and Kumar is about. Just the fact that they made them, you know, a Korean guy and an Indian guy, that they decided that those were going to be the main characters. I think the whole idea is to sort of poke fun at, you know, racism, or not poke fun at it, but, you know, just address the issues in a more lighthearted way.
Yeah, they really did a lot more to address that issue than the last movie did. The last movie, it was like, I guess maybe it was because of where they were, because they were in like around New York, that people more accepted them for being Indian and Korean, but they didn't accept them for being nerdy and losers. But in the second movie, it's like just they pretty much cut across every racial group.
Yeah, they pretty much did.
At least one for each one. There's always like just this one scene where they come into a town. There's that racial group, and Rob Corddry does something stupid.
Yeah. I thought Rob Corddry's character was a bit exaggerated. Maybe more so than it had to be, but it was pretty funny.
Yeah, Rob Corddry's character was quite funny.
Yeah.
Also, you mentioned earlier about how this movie's more Kumar.
Yeah, I thought in the first one it was a bit more focused on Harold, I thought, because it was Harold who had the crush on Maria. It was Harold who had his the girl that followed him around in the first one, and he went to the
Kimberly.
Yeah, to the party, and yeah, I felt that it didn't have a lot to do with Kumar. Like, Kumar was just sort of along for the ride.
Yeah.
And I thought what was good about the second one that the importance was balanced on each character, because you had this idea of Harold still trying to go to Amsterdam chasing Maria, which is the whole reason they get into the predicament they're in on their way to Amsterdam. And then you have this whole story about Kumar's ex-girlfriend and how he is trying to get back with her and foil her marriage.
It's also like Kumar realizes a lot more about himself in this one than the last one.
Yeah.
In the last one, he kind of seemed to have a change, but he was basically the same character in the end.
I think a lot of people like Kumar a little bit more than Harold, so I think that it was important for the second one for them to focus it a bit more on Kumar, so we can know Kumar a little bit better.
Now we can compare this movie to its predecessor as much as we want, but the thing is this movie is one of the typical genre of movies coming from like mainly 2000 to now, like American Pie, Euro Trip, Superbad, Harold and Kumar. They're all kind of the same movie. Do you think this is where do you think it ranks among movies like Superbad, American Pie, and Euro Trip? I mean, they even mentioned Euro Trip in the movie. I mean, they're like on the plane going, yeah, this is going to be like Euro Trip, except it's not going to suck.
Yeah. I think as far as those movies are concerned, I thought it was about on the same level, but I think it had a lot more substance to it. I mean, just how they addressed racial issues throughout it, in however way that they did it. I think movies like American Pie and other stuff are focused more on, people partying and drinking and just doing stupid things, I think this movie was more plot heavy than any of those.
It was more plot driven than really character.
Yeah, it was definitely more plot driven, but at the same time, you still have the character driven aspect of it, because that's the whole point of the movie.
So do you think it's like separate from those other movies? Like,
I think it stands alone. I wouldn't put it in the same category.
Now, if you got this movie for DVD and then you just you got this movie and the last movie for DVD, and he's packed it away in a box for 30 years and he pulled it out, I personally think I would watch it again and I'd love it.
I definitely would.
All right.
But I think I would definitely watch the first one mostly, because to me that's a classic.
Yeah. You also need to watch the first one to really understand this. You can't just watch the second one and get it.
Yeah. At the same time, though, you'll laugh a lot, even if you haven't seen the first one. And then you'll definitely want to go back and watch the first one.
Yeah. Or at least imitate some of the behaviors in the movies.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our review of Harold and Kumar: Escape from Guantanamo Bay. It is currently playing in theaters like Century 10, Century 20 in Daly City, and
the new one,
the
Tanforan.
Yeah, theater's okay.
I haven't been yet.
Well, watch it. You need to watch it.
It's wonderful.
Done. I was directly... Yes, John, I know I was...
Cut!
Can I say cuss words now?